Imagine being the most powerful person in your country, yet having less money than the average citizen. You might think all presidents live in palaces with gold-plated walls, but wait until you see the leader at number 1. He lived on a farm and donated 90% of his salary. While most world leaders accumulate massive fortunes during their terms, a select few chose a different path. Today, we are counting down the top 10 poorest and most humble presidents in history. These leaders proved that true power doesn't come from money. Coming in at number 10 is the 33rd President of the United States, Harry S. Truman. Despite leading a superpower, Truman had very little personal wealth. After leaving the White House, he and his wife moved back to her mother's simple house in Missouri. He actually had to take out a bank loan just to survive his post-presidency years. At number 9, we have Iran's Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Before his presidency, he was a teacher, and he maintained a startlingly simple lifestyle in office. He famously refused the presidential salary, taking only a teacher's wage. He even slept on the floor of the guest room instead of the royal bed and brought his own simple lunch from home. Number 8 is Malawi's first female president, Joyce Banda. Upon taking office, she realized the country was struggling financially. Her solution? She immediately sold the presidential jet and a fleet of 60 luxury cars used by the cabinet. She declared she would hitch a ride with other leaders if she needed to travel abroad. While technically a sovereign of the Vatican, number 7, Pope Francis, shocked the world with his humility. He refused the luxurious papal apartments to live in a simple guest house. He swapped the custom limousine for a used compact car and often cooks his own simple vegetarian meals of rice and vegetables. At number 6 is Argentina's Arturo Illia. He was a doctor who treated the poor for free before becoming president. During his term, he refused to use public funds for personal expenses like cars or entertainment. When he was ousted from office, he left with even less money than when he entered, having to sell his car to pay for his wife's medical treatment. Breaking into the top 5, we have the Che Guevara of Africa, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. He reduced his salary to just $450 a month. His most famous move? He sold the government's fleet of Mercedes cars and replaced them with the cheapest car available in the country, the Renault 5. He made all high-ranking officials ride in them too. Number 4 is Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. Known as the teacher, he voluntarily stepped down from power, a rarity in his region at the time. He retired to his home village to work as a farmer. He left office without a penny to his name, having never used his position to secure wealth or property for himself or his family. At number 3 is India's Lal Bahadur Shastri. He was so upright that he took a loan from the government just to buy a small Fiat car. When he passed away suddenly, the loan was still unpaid, and his widow had to pay it off from her pension. He often gave away his own clothes to the poor, keeping only the bare minimum for himself. Just missing the top spot at number 2 is Abraham Lincoln. You might not expect a US president here, but Lincoln grew up in extreme poverty in a log cabin. Even as a lawyer and politician, he had very little money. When he arrived in Washington, he had to borrow money just to buy suitable clothes for his inauguration. Lincoln's financial struggles continued throughout his life. He famously carried his important documents in his tall hat because he didn't have a briefcase. His humility and connection to the common struggle defined his presidency, proving that you don't need generational wealth to change the course of history. And finally, the undisputed number 1 is José Mujica of Uruguay. Known worldwide as the poorest president, he donated 90% of his monthly salary to charity. He refused to live in the presidential palace, choosing to stay on his wife's ramshackle flower farm outside the capital. While other leaders traveled in armored convoys, Mujica drove himself to work in a beat-up 1987 Volkswagen Beetle. His only security guards were 2 police officers and a 3-legged dog named Manuela. He lived entirely off the vegetables he grew and the simple life he loved. José Mujica once said, "I am not poor. Poor are those who need a lot to live." These leaders showed us that dignity isn't found in a bank account, but in service to others. They left office with clean hands and full hearts, setting an example for politicians everywhere. Which of these humble leaders impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button to join Top 10 Repo for more amazing history.